The house was quiet. I had just finished rinsing off the last dish when I heard the softest creak behind me, so faint it could have been the house settling, but something in my chest skipped anyway. I didn't turn around. Not yet. My heart already knew who it was. His presence filled the space before his footsteps did, warm, magnetic, wordless. A slow heat moved up my spine, both nervous and thrilling. I focused on drying my hands with the dish towel like it mattered more than the pounding of my heart. "Clayton?" I asked softly, though I didn't need to. I could feel him. He didn't answer with words. Instead, I heard the sound of the refrigerator opening, the crack of a soda can being pulled free, and the slow exhale of breath as he leaned back against the counter, behind me. Watching me. I turned around. Clayton Whitmore had the kind of stillness that made everything around him feel like it was vibrating. He didn't have to say anything. His eyes, intense, unreadable, carried the weight of everything he wasn't saying. And everything I wasn't supposed to feel. He looked like a statue carved out of heat and danger. Worn denim jeans, white tee that clung just enough, arms crossed like he was holding back gravity. I wasn't supposed to be alone with him. Not like this. He was my husband's younger brother. But ever since he'd returned from San Antonio 2 months ago, something between us had shifted. Or maybe it had always been there. Quiet, hidden, waiting for the moment. This moment. I cleared my throat and turned back to the sink, pretending the silence didn't stretch tight between us. "You're home early," I said, watching my own reflection in the dark kitchen window. "I could say the same about you," he finally murmured, voice deep, low, like velvet over a slow fire. Goosebumps scattered across my skin. "I didn't expect you to be back from the hardware store until later," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. He took a slow step forward. I could feel it in the air. He wasn't rushing. He didn't have to. "You've been avoiding me, Lillian," he said. My name on his tongue was dangerous. It sounded like temptation wrapped in something raw. I turned around slowly, clutching the edge of the counter behind me. "I haven't," I started. He tilted his head, that knowing half-smirk forming at the corner of his mouth. "Yes, you have." And I had. Every day since I caught myself staring a second too long. Since his fingertips brushed mine when I passed him the milk carton. Since the moment he watched me laugh at something meaningless, his eyes burning like he knew all my secrets. But tonight, there was no one else home. The house was quiet. No excuses. No hiding. He didn't move closer, not yet. Instead, he leaned against the island behind me, sipping from the can like nothing about this was dangerous. But it was. Because my mind was already tangled in the sound of his voice, the heat of his stare, and the way his silence said more than words ever could. "You don't have to say anything," he murmured after a long pause. "But you feel it too. I know you do." I swallowed hard. "It's complicated." He nodded, his jaw tightening. "Yeah. But simple things never make people burn like this." His eyes were on me like a storm waiting to happen. I stepped around the island slowly, trying to put some kind of space between us. My legs felt weak. My breath uneven. "Clayton, we can't. I can't." "You didn't say you don't want to," he said, and his voice was soft but steady. I opened my mouth to protest, but nothing came out. My body betrayed me with the way my fingers trembled, how my breath caught every time he shifted a step closer. He closed the space between us then. Quiet, deliberate, stopping just inches away. He didn't touch me. Not even a brush of skin. But the air was thick, charged. His hand hovered near mine. He didn't grab it. He waited. And somehow, that wait was more intense than anything else could have been. "You've been walking around this house like you're pretending," he whispered. "But you can't fake the way your eyes change when you look at me." I closed my eyes, aching from the inside. He didn't need to touch me. Every word, every look, was more intimate than hands. I opened my eyes again slowly, locking onto his. "What do you want from me?" His voice dropped lower. "I want the truth. Just once. Say it." There was a pause so long I could hear the distant sound of the old wall clock ticking. Then I said it. "I think about you. When I shouldn't." His lips twitched into something almost broken. I think about you all the time, Lillian. Even when I try not to. There it was. Naked. Breathless. Dangerous. Still, he didn't touch me. Instead, he slowly reached behind me and opened the cabinet drawer like he was getting a spoon. His fingers brushed mine in the lightest possible way, just a whisper. But it was fire. I gasped, barely audible, but he caught it. His jaw clenched. His eyes dropped to my lips. Then back to my eyes. Still nothing spoken. He took a step back then, that same careful look in his eyes. He gave me space, even though he didn't want to. I knew it. Felt it. You know where I stand now, he said softly. And I'll never cross that line unless you open the door. Then he turned and walked out of the kitchen. Just like that. But the weight of him lingered. And I stood there, hand still trembling where his fingers had brushed mine, heart beating out a rhythm I didn't know how to silence. For the next few days, we moved like planets circling each other. Not touching, but aware. Every glance was magnetic. Every brush in the hallway electric. The sound of his voice across the dinner table felt like a hand on my lower back. I was spiraling. Caught in a gravity I no longer had the strength to resist. It happened again late one night. I couldn't sleep. I wandered down to the kitchen in my robe, hair up in a loose knot. I wasn't expecting anyone else awake. But he was already there. Leaning against the island in the dark, lit only by the glow of the stove light. His eyes met mine before I could retreat. Neither of us spoke. He didn't need to. He moved slowly, deliberately, like a shadow sliding closer. I didn't step back this time. He reached out, brushing a hair from my face with the back of his fingers. So light it felt like a dream. Then he leaned forward, not enough to kiss me, just enough for his breath to ghost across my cheek. It was maddening. I shivered. I wanted him. In ways I hadn't let myself admit. And he wasn't even touching me fully. Just the space between us had turned into something sacred and forbidden. He leaned closer. Still no kiss. But his hand found my waist, anchoring there gently, warm through the thin fabric of my robe. And still, not a word. He didn't need to speak. Everything he wanted was there in the way he looked at me, the way his hand curved at my side, how his forehead dropped gently against mine. It was the most intimate moment of my life. He whispered against my skin, voice like a prayer. Tell me to stop. I didn't. Instead, I stood on my toes and touched my lips to his. Soft. Barely there. He inhaled like I'd shattered him. And then, finally, his mouth captured mine. Still slow. Still reverent. But everything I'd been holding back fell apart in that kiss. His hands held my face like I was something fragile. His mouth spoke every word he hadn't said. His silence was gone, replaced by the rhythm of two people who'd tried too long to pretend. We didn't go too far. We didn't cross that last line. But we danced around it until dawn. The next morning, we didn't talk about it. But he passed me a coffee mug in silence, fingers brushing mine, that same look in his eyes. He was waiting. Still. And I realized then, it wasn't about the moment. It was about the choice. He wouldn't take. He would wait until I gave. And maybe that was the hottest, most dangerous thing of all. Because I knew I would. Eventually. And when I did, when the moment came, it wouldn't be rushed or stolen. It would be fire, lit by silence, bound by everything we'd held back. Until the kitchen wasn't just where it began, but where it burned.